Squeegee podcast, episode 23 with Ola from Ripples Print. Hi Ola.
Hi, can you see me okay?
Yes.
Good.
I like that very smart picture before you came on.
Oh,
It was like your headshot. That was awesome.
yeah. Because some meetings, I just put it because I just don't want to turn my video on. And, you know, when you have these big meetings and it's sort of rude. Yeah. So when there's a picture there, exactly, it looks like I'm listening, keep speaking. Yeah.
That's really cool. Cool. I'll start by just saying, like, could you say who you are and what your business is?
Okay, cool. My name is Ola and I own Ripples Prints.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's good. You mainly work with, like, am I right in saying, like, small businesses? Like,
yes.
The majority of your clientele, like local businesses or?
Yes, corporate. Yeah, a mix of, well, yeah, I do more of contract kind of jobs and work with schools as well. So,
okay.
Yeah,
so, like, what makes it a contract job? Because, like, a lot of people, they just deal with, like, walk-ins, and what's the difference between just?
Well, it's well, kind of, yeah, we make them to order, so, but it's probably a bit larger volume sometimes. Yeah. So say they want to kit out their whole team, or they want to kit out the staff, or for example, for the schools, we do school uniforms for the whole school type thing. And when you know that that's kind of regular every year, you know, yeah. So that's kind of what makes it that. There's some jobs that, you know, they're one-off. So say they have a big event or a charity run or something, we get 200 garments and that's it. They might come back next year, they might not, but there's sort of no commitment to us-ish.
Right. Okay. So, like, how do you formalize that commitment? Do you kind of, like, write a contract or something?
Well, not all the time. It depends on the job. So there is this implied way of working. So, right. For example, say we work with a football team, you know, and they want us to kit out the uniforms and blah. I think a lot of them, what makes it a bit easier, especially for the embroidery side of things, because that's kind of a large part of what we do as well. We've got the discs, we've got the designs, we've got everything saved on file. They've paid for all the setup. So for them, it's just, you know, the next logical thing is just to stick with these people, you know, so far they're delivering good job, good quality. So I think that's kind of what makes it that way. There's some organizations where you need to sign sort of like a contract. There will be some terms. For example, we probably have a 14-day payment term, you know, right. The organization would have maybe 30 days. So they want to kind of, you know, formalize it that way. So you have not like a contract, but sort of like an MOU type of arrangement.
Yeah. I think I understand what you mean, because whenever I've worked with a company over a certain size, then you have to kind of be vetted, don't you? Like,
yes,
that you have to go through these procedures that you don't have to normally. And if it's a school, I've had to be signed off on, like, the council's supplier website, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, I don't even care. I just want to do these leavers hoodies and then be done with it. Not that I do too much of that anymore. But
it all depends on what they're asking for. So one of the things that I went through when I was, you know, we're a bit smaller, when I just started then, was I really wanted to work with these big companies and blah, 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 excited. And then they're asking, are you VAT registered? And I'm like, nope. Like, it's not even a thing, you know?
Why does it matter though?
Well, so that they can also claim back their VAT. Because if you're VAT registered, whatever you buy and whatever people buy, so if people buy from me, I pay the VAT to HMRC, but if I buy anything at all, I claim back my VAT.
Yeah, but I get it from your end, but I don't get it from the customer's end, because if they're not being charged VAT, then...
Yeah, but if you're VAT registered, then you need to charge VAT on your products.
Yeah, but if you're not, as a business, VAT registered, and you're so small that you're not, then you're not charging them VAT, so there's nothing to claim back on their side.
True. But I think I think it's just this, they just want to make sure, because there is this thing, if you're VAT registered, then that means you're turning over a certain amount of revenue. So there is some sort of level of insurance or trust on the fact that you have the capability to handle the larger jobs, you know, type of thing. So I had to go VAT registered way before I hit the mark.
Oh,
so it just, I don't know, it was just one of the requirements, you know, they're asking, are you VAT registered? Sometimes they still work with businesses who are not VAT registered. I think it depends on the organization as well. So those are some of the hurdles you sort of need to cross. I think a company have asked me for anti-slavery policy, blah blah, before. And
you're like, have you seen how I treat these bitches? They're like, they're in luxury here.
So so that was, so we had to kind of develop that policy and all that. But so yeah, I think it also depends on what is required from that company, you know, to meet their corporate social responsibility and things like that.
Yeah, so. But once you've done it once, like set it up, and then you just keep passing it on. It's in the folder. So am I right in thinking, I don't know where I've got this from, but were you like in law before? Like
was I what?
Were you like a solicitor or a lawyer or something before?
Yes, that was my background. So I studied as a lawyer, and I had my master's in international commercial law from University of Aberdeen, and I was working with the council, but I was like a project coordinator, but in the legal side of things, and it was good fun. I liked it a lot. This I loved, that I liked.
Right.
So that's kind of like my background, and from there I moved into government.
Yeah, so there's a lot of transferable skills for like the actual business operator, because I get this feeling that you're very much inspired by like a lot of business books and that type of thing, so you understand that you should work on your business instead of in it. So I feel like you're like the boss. So all those kind of like project management, transferable skills, and or your legal mind probably helping you out in the role that you've made for yourself there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it kind of, there's this tendency to sort of legalize or formalize things, you know, like some people say, oh, you're so formal. I'm like, I don't know how else
to whom it may concern. Oh, that's from Ola.
So I have this tendency to kind of make things nice and formal, and I guess it's because of my background, and also, you know, there's that tendency to be quite thorough and checking and rechecking, and sometimes it kind of slows the process down. But it's just because, you know, obviously in the legal field as well, you have to be sure so that all your documentations are correct, everything is on time, you have to watch the deadlines, you have to, you know, that sort of thing. So I think that transfers over to the business we do.
I was researching you because I do a little dive in before, and I saw you doing a talk, and it seemed to be like the basis of the talk was, the little snippet that I saw was about you saying there is money out there to be made, and it's just like where you're looking for it. And if you're thinking positively, you'll create that kind of like abundance. What do you think about some people having the abundance mindset and other people not? And like how, like what was that talk and why?
Well, it was we had an event which was talking about moving an idea to business, and sort of sharing my journey, as well as just trying to encourage, you know, the younger folk and or, you know, whoever wants to get into business. So it was more of saying what you look for, you find, you know, it all depends on what you want and you know, where you put your effort in, you know, it's there are opportunities out there. So what you focus on amplifies, you know. So if I keep focusing on the fact that, oh, this business is killing me, that's exactly what's going to happen, you know, because that's what you're focusing on. But if I'm focusing on the fact that, oh, I want to target a certain, you know, I've actually tried it before where I really wanted to get into the schools, right? I don't know, I just really wanted to work with the kids and, you know, do uniforms and leavers, hoodies at the time, you know, the idea was it was going to be fun. I can...
we need to talk about that in a minute, but yeah.
I could create stuff with them and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of ditched the idea, but, you know, we're sending emails to schools, but not much. But then you know, I got into a point where I'm like, now I really want to work with schools. And I started researching, how do I even get there? What do they want? What schools do you want to work with? And what problem can you solve for them? So then I realized, okay, a lot of schools still send out these forms, you know, to fill for either leavers or uniforms and all. That must be a lot of paperwork. The admin person would probably be losing her mind or his mind, or, you know. So I thought, okay, maybe if we build a platform where they'll kind of have like an online shop where, you know, they shop and, you know, make things easy. I'm sure that solution is out there already, but just creating it for my local community, for the schools around here. So that was what I used to pitch. Now, this is the same schools I have been emailing. Oh, we're here if you want to do uniforms. But it was a different approach this time because I was a bit deliberate on the fact that I really want to work in schools. So then we started getting, oh, that's interesting. Oh my God, you're going to save us. And I know. I'm like, so it's the same thing, but it was just a different approach because this time I was kind of bent on the fact that I really want to do it. Now, how do I get it? Who do I need to speak to? Who do I need to leverage on in my contacts? You know, things like that. And now we have 6 schools and that's enough. Yeah. Because, but I think that was what I was trying to say in that snippet, that, you know, there's money to be made out there. There are opportunities, but you need to be prepared for it. You know, for example, if they say they're looking for a female screen printer to do blah, I'm sure a lot of people would probably recommend you because you're there, you're prepared for it already. They're not going to look for someone maybe who's, you get what I mean? So it's just about preparing yourself and putting yourself out there in that place where the opportunity meets you.
Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting. There is this other like slightly different idea. I get you're talking about like opportunities in business and stuff, but some people have the idea that if you make quite a lot of money, you're taking it away from someone who's not making money. Like they feel like there's like a set amount, and basically, I just don't think that's the case. I think there's you can make more economy in your local economy, and there's more opportunities and chances to keep building and adding on services and upselling to the customers that you've got. There's always a way to like bring more money into your business, and it's not being greedy and stuff. It's it's just thinking in a slightly different way. I don't know how to explain that, but
well, I probably wouldn't hear because I wouldn't even apply myself to understand that. Yeah, okay. So I can make all the money I want to make if I want to make. If I apply myself, I can. You know, if I want to. It's hard work. Yeah, it's not easy making money. It's real hard work. You know, so, and if I am obviously building my business, growing, making money, I'm also creating jobs. Yeah, for people. Every one of my member of my staff are members of the local community. So, and then me being in this area is also good for the area.
Elevating it.
Exactly. You know, then I've brought in revenue here because myself and my team, we go to the local shops, we buy stuff almost every lunch. So it's giving back in every sense of it. So I don't understand being greedy. Well, yeah, I'm probably, yeah.
It's not, that's the point. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you can't, also there's this other thing, which is like, if you are making like enough money for yourself, now you're able to give to charities and things.
Yeah.
If you're like always scraping by, you're never going to be able to give enough to make an impact. So I feel like we have, I think we have to make the best of what we've got and use all of our skills to the best of our abilities. Then we can start like helping other people. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Because you also referenced like the E-Myth. So is that like a particularly influential book that you've read and resonated with you?
Yes, I think it's just sitting right here. I've read it a couple times and it's probably looking all tattered.
I think I've got it up there.
I think the first time I read it, the thing that it did for me, I haven't finished up until the end. It's just, you know, that kind of book where you go again and you're like, you read something and it blows your mind. And it made me understand that, you know, being a technician, being an entrepreneur, two different things, you know, which kind of like a lot of us come into it because we love the creative side. We want to print, you know, we want to do the embroidery. Oh, check that out. That looks super cool. That's great, but that would take you only thus far. You know, that would not necessarily help you grow your business. So I think that kind of helped me because I didn't come from a businessy background. I mean, everything I have done, I have learned, I have read, I have gone on courses, or, you know, or regular 9-to-5 desk job type person. So I think that book, how it explained, you know, being a technician and being an entrepreneur, two different things, was really great for me to kind of wrap my head around, because sometimes I look at other people, how are they doing it? How do they know to take that decision? You know, like am I dull or something? But that book kind of got, this is why I'm the way I am, you know. So that kind of helped us. So that's why I just keep referring to that.
I think that's really important, because a lot of people who own a business just because they're the director, and they think that now they're an entrepreneur, and it's like
no, it's such a journey to be.
You're an entrepreneur when you own multiple businesses and you work. It's literally work on the business instead of work in. So I know that myself. I own 3 businesses now, and I know technically, yes, I do work in the businesses, but I'm doing it with it in mind that I'm just building these roles and I'm filling people into them. Yeah. And I'm getting hands off as much as possible. And I know I'm not an entrepreneur yet, but I'm getting there. Like, it's from reading books like that, you can see that if you're always being the bricklayer and you're not hiring the bricklayers, then that's like you've reached your limit and capacity on what you can do in a day. But reading some of those books does do what you just said, and you're like, oh, for God's sake, I've been doing this for 5 years and I haven't realized that yet. It's just like a £7 book can give you an epiphany that changes the whole course of your business. So why wouldn't you read and consume as much of it as possible?
It just helps, you know. You get to a point in your business. Well, it depends on, you know, how you want to grow your business. But you get to a point in your business where you realize you just don't know what to do. You don't have the skill, you know. I probably, I'm creative. I could tell you, no, don't use polyester for that, blah, blah, blah. I could go all geeky about that. But I probably might not be able to tell, you know, the business acumen is not there. So it's things like reading the books and, you know, all those things that kind of help and improve you.
Yeah, it's really important. So, like, how did you get this kind of idea to go into business? Have you got other people in your family that run businesses that inspired you, or you got any like people who might be in like a mentor role?
Well, my dad is a lawyer as well, and he owns his law firm. So it's sort of running a business as well. And then my mom has always been in business while I was growing up, you know, selling clothes. She had a boutique and things like that. And also later on, she had a school. So she was headmistress. So that's back home in Nigeria. So it's kind of been in the family, but I honestly never thought this would be me. Yeah. My thinking was a proper 9-to-5 suit wearing, heels wearing type of girl, you know, like you'd have watched so many movies. Like, I want to be like that, you know, that's so cool. But hey, I'm here now. So,
like Legally Blonde, like heels.
Exactly, literally. I thought I was going to be so, you know, with my doggy, I'm going to kill. Honestly, so this was my dream, right? Yeah. And so obviously those are the kind of people that have kind of steered me on, you know, in the roles, in the role I'm in now. When I started, it all started sort of like a hobby, like, I like this thing, I'll do it. And you know, when you have it at the back of your mind, it's just a side thing, you know, we'll do it and we'll see how it goes. But then this is me full time.
Yeah. So I know you're quite a close-knit team, but I see that you've like made some additions and stuff. Like, how have you found hiring people and getting the right people in the right seats?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard. But I think my walk around, the way I kind of walked around that was I realized that nobody goes to school to learn screen print or embroidery or so it, but I then realized I had to get to a point where I chose people who had skills that could be transferable.
Right.
Then I would tutor them, I teach them. Now it's a whole lot of work, trying to invest and teaching.
You're like, this is an investment, it's not a waste of time. You gotta keep saying that to yourself.
So but I think I've just been lucky as well, because the kind of people I brought into my space are people who are keen to learn. That was always very key for me, especially when I'm doing interviews. You could have all the skills in the world, but are you keen? How do you handle criticisms? Things like this are what helps you to know if someone is teachable or not. So if they're teachable, you've gotten a real good one, So a lot of my team members are people who I have mentored, and they have now mentored other people as well, based on the way, they learned from me. So it's been tough generally, but yeah, you just have to do it. If you're growing, you just have to do it.
Exactly. So I see you've put Abby on social media. Yeah. Is that like her role, or is she just like adopted that? Or
well, she doubles up. Abby does a lot. She doubles up. So she does business development, and then she does digital marketing. So under the digital marketing, there is the social media aspect of it. So we have another company that majorly runs the social media, but we're heavily involved. So some of the comments, the messages are us personally, but the actual scheduling of the post, we work with them to say, okay, we want to put this out, this is what we want to do, blah blah blah. So they do the actual scheduling and posting and doing all that, but the communications with customers, with people is awesome there. So Abby kind of runs the show with social media as well.
Yeah, I can tell that she watches TikTok in her personal time, because she's like formatting the videos in a way that other people are doing it, and that's working, and that's getting hooks. So it's just smart putting that on. If it's not like something that you want to do yourself, and a lot of people don't watch TikTok and don't understand how Instagram's set up, it makes sense to put that onto someone who's consuming it themselves.
She loves it, but I try. It's too much work for me, to be honest. But, she does it. She says hello, by the way. She absolutely loves you guys. She's like, oh, Chessie.
That's pretty cute. So like, what kind of ambitions have you got for the business now? Because like, you must have been rattled by over the last couple of years, and did that like change the course of what you're doing, like with COVID and stuff, with the schools not ordering, and like how did that affect you?
Well, COVID really had a massive impact on us. It was bad. It was really bad. But I think that kind of helped us to pivot a bit and just go more online. So we did more online. So, we have, I think there was a time we were on Clubhouse, chatting about things that would help us with our processes. And that's when I got this platform that I use to manage jobs and things like that. So we had to learn to automate a lot of the things we do, because traditionally we're used to people coming in, show us what they want, try on the shirt, there's that human interaction. But now there is still that, because it's coming back, but we can literally run a whole job without actually seeing the person. We do the mock-ups with everything, there's a back and forth on the whole system. So that is one thing I can say COVID has really helped us to do, trying to automate things and strengthening our processes a bit more. I think for me as well, one of the things is, was part of the things that made me say, okay, I really now want to work with schools. What am I going to do and how am I going to get them? And the reason why I went down that route was I had to start thinking of what are the industries I can go to that would give me my volumes, that would be constant, you know, that would be repeat, so that I know that I have so amount of steady income, you know, in a year. And so that way, if you have that steady income, you can plan, you can say, yeah, we want to do training, we want to do this, and then all the other bits keep flowing in as well. So COVID kind of made me now go into school. Like, okay, now we want to do this.
Now I've got a minute, and now I can jump on digital. Yeah. I think a lot of people were forced there, and then they've seen like, okay, I never had the time to put into these kind of things before, but now I can see that I need to focus on developing the business and make it more streamlined.
Absolutely.
So is there a program that you'd recommend for people? Because I think we spoke about it on Clubhouse. But...
Yes. So you mean for the job management? So I use ServiceMate.
ServiceMate.
It is gold, honestly. I can literally, you know, if people want...
I have to write it down now.
If you want to maybe, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm happy to share and, you know, actually demo or whatever, but it has changed the trajectory of my business, and I cannot even lie. So that's that. The Monday.com is good as well. The only reason I kind of pulled away from Monday was obviously because we're a team growing now. So the more people that have to use it, the more license you're paying. But for ServiceMate, you're paying a monthly fee, whether you have 10 or 50 staff using it, you know. So it was traditionally made for the trades industry. So there's some functionalities on there that will probably not be relevant, but if you look at the trades industries, they're providing a service, they're having parts, so they need to send pictures to customers and things like that, which is kind of like similar to what we do. So we've sort of adapted it and molded into what works for us. You know, there's still a couple of things that probably, if it would have been a good nice to have. But for me, ServiceMate works for now, and it's affordable for my business. So that's Monday.com is good as well. I mean, there's some things that Monday.com can do that ServiceMate cannot do, because for Monday.com you can invite your customers to collaborate. So say you have a mock-up or something, you can have a meeting where the customer is actually saying, no, move this there, and you can see the customer moving, which is super cool, you know. But ServiceMate is just a back and forth thing. So what we do on ServiceMate, every single correspondence is on that platform with the customer. So say I'm on holiday or you're on holiday, I don't need to wait, we're waiting for Chessie to come back, or maybe if your customer calls, well, Chessie's not in, we have to wait. No, I can literally read through and say, okay, the status of your job is the garments have been ordered or they're in production, and you get it in 7 days or blah, blah, blah. So there's that continuity, which I needed at the time. Because before COVID, it was mainly me making a lot of the decisions. So if I'm not there, nothing can be done. So I thought, now, say we have to probably work from home, how are we going to communicate, you know? So I had to start thinking of this thing. So ServiceMate has really helped in that way. So you can, once the job is complete, it still saves it on there. So if a customer says,
I had last time.
50
You're
of,
like,
exactly.
shit.
I want 50 of the last time. I'm like, 50 of, sometimes, you know, before I had to say, could you send us a picture of the color? Like, it's purplish, I know, but what can you send us a picture? But I felt that was a bit tacky, so I needed something a bit cooler. So now, if they say 50 of next time, fine, because measurements, everything is stored on that customer. So I just pull it up and I just reorder. So it's super cool. I'm not going to say too much.
No, that's seriously, that's genuinely really important information. Also, there's something you said right at the beginning. You said, like, I know it slows the process down, being like methodical and checking and double checking. That's the opposite. It speeds up the amount of jobs that you're doing correctly. And you're getting right, and because if you mess up a job, you've lost the profit on it most of the time.
Absolutely.
So,
and we've had our fair share of that, where I'm like, kidding me? You know? And one in particular that honestly, and it was so embarrassing because I made the mistake, right?
Go on.
So it was a couple of garments. It was, I think, about 100, Chessie. And so there was brilliant embroidery done, print, great. I was like, this is so cool. And they had a hashtag at the back, right? So the hashtag was all small letter, but it was 2 words, but the second word had a small letter as well, or had a capital, I can't remember, or had a capital, right? So, you know, when you're doing it on the, I use CorelDRAW mainly, and then autocorrect felt, oh, no capital in the middle of a statement or in the middle of a, so I didn't even check it. I just ran the prints and did all that. And I had delivered it. And then the customers went, oh, we're missing the capital. I'm like, nope, that's not possible. And did exactly. And then when I saw, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, so, but now, you know, we work.
So you're like Googling how to remove vinyl from back.
I had to replace it because it was a lot.
I know. There's always like this 5 seconds where you're like, I think I could get this off with some acetone or something. And then you see this guy like rubbing.
Sometimes we use the spray. There's a spray we get from, what are they now? I think Paper Graphics, I think. Is it Paper Graphics? I can't remember, honestly. So we use that spray anyway and it goes off. But you can only do it to a certain amount of thing. And then sometimes it leaves that ghost effect, which is a bit tacky. If you're putting the same size of print on it, fine, or a bigger size. But if you're putting something totally different, it's a bit weird. So but at least that helps. The system now helps because you have the mock-up there. So when it's in production, you're looking at it. And so if the customer says, oh, the capital is there, well, this is what you approved. It's on there and everything is time stamped, you know, customer approved it on the 6th of June, 8:05. It's all there. So I'm covered, you know, that type of thing. So
I do think the temptation for like one-man band type situations where you're there in the studio on your own is not to make those mock-up sheets or production sheets for yourself, because you're like, oh no, I remember, I know it. And I could just keep going back to the computer and just like looking. But the problem is there's always like an email there, like 10 deep. And it's like, they're throwing in a little change.
Yes.
Or like,
could you just make it slightly bigger? And then
it's like, what does bigger mean? Which drives me nuts. But yeah, it's like, give me a centimeter. So the tendency is to just try and keep it in your head, and you think that that's saving you time. But if you spend half an hour, you'll thank yourself later when you have got that production sheet to reference, and just chills you out, just takes the stress out.
Absolutely. Where you have all the description, the color, the thread, the measurements, positioning, and you know, we try to go a little bit off paper because a lot of paper bothers me. So on ServiceMate, you can use it on your phone, you can use it on an iPad, you can use it on your computer. So if you're in the workshop, you can, I'll just pull it up for you. So if you're in the workshop, I can literally, so that's ServiceMate, I've pulled it up and I go into jobs, all jobs. So I go into jobs, these are all my jobs. So if it's blue, that's the job that we have on. If it's yellow, orangey, that means it's still on a quote. If it's green, that's it complete. So yes, that's me. I've pulled up a job, I've pressed it. And one cool thing it could do is, I don't know if you can see clearly, if I click on start job, when I start the machine, I can click on that start job. So I can time myself doing this job.
Nice.
So this, if altogether, this job is probably about 85 garments, right? So say I want to really, really time it, I will start the job. And if I say I finish it in 5 hours, so if someone says, I want 80 garments, but can you do it I need it by say Friday, because I know that's going to take me 5 hours uninterrupted. If I want to add maybe interruptions, maybe another extra hour, I can tell you if I could deliver the job or not. Because I have an idea of how long that would take me. You know, this was something that was, you know, in print and embroidery, it's a bit hard to tell because every job is different. You know, the thread counts is different. You know, there might be a lot of thread breaks with this and this can go so smoothly. So it all depends. But at least I have an idea that that should roughly take me 5 hours. Now, 5 hours is almost a whole work day because you've got, is it 6 hours to work in a day? Well, the team, I work probably.
I was like, but you're only working 5 hours. Like, that needs to be my next question.
I know, I probably work longer than that, but averagely your 9 to 5, so I could tell you that's a day's job uninterrupted now. I probably would not give my time to just one job in a day. So I would probably tell you that would take me 2 days. So if say I want to split it over 2 days. So it kind of gives you an idea of
I really like that. Because you're like, actually, last time I did this job, it took me 5 hours, and one of your staff's pissing around and they're on hour 7, and you're like, I've literally got the statistics on here.
Yeah, for me, if I go, oh, that job, you started the job on Monday, it's not done on Wednesday, why? I can boldly ask why, because everybody should kind of know how long that will take you.
Yeah.
If you're not chatting too much or going for coffee 10 times in the middle of that, or, things like that. So
yeah. Also, it's going to help you cost your jobs efficiently, because you know how many man hours that took.
Yeah.
On top of your materials and things. Yeah. I think if you're not measuring it, you don't. If it matters, you have to measure it and see what these things are costing you.
Yeah.
That's another thing that happened with COVID, which is really good, because we phased out a lot of jobs. And we started like ramping up other areas, because we actually had to do cost analysis on everything, like down to what emulsion costs and all that kind of stuff. So throw stuff
a lot of work, because I'm still, I think,
pre-exposed screens, not like normal screen things.
Yeah, you guys have, I think you've done incredible with, trying to phase out, because that's still something we still have a bit of mix with. Trying to phase out I wouldn't say they're little jobs, but you know what I mean, whereby
someone called me today and they wanted the Queen's face on a shirt so they could go to the pub, and it was urgent and it's like crucial. I was like, oh,
did they want it screen printed?
No, I don't know, just anything. They don't know what the thing is. Obviously I'm like, reject, because I've got my guy that I send them to.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I will pass. No, that's not. Some people just think you just go up to the back and just press a button and just exactly no, not exactly. There's a lot that goes into it, so I think that's still something we're trying to do. We have phased out a couple of things by putting a limit spend, just to kind of do things up a bit, but I think we need to probably do more so that we strengthen our positioning a bit more. Yeah,
we talked about that on Clubhouse, because I remember it sticking in my head, like the fact that you've implemented that minimum spend. And I was just thinking, even if I try and implement a minimum spend, I'm still having to do the admin and figure out all these variables that are just like overwhelming. Like if they say I want a coat, and you're like, well, I've still got to go on Ralliwise and find out how much that coat costs and find out how much it costs to embroider. And I haven't got all that stuff at my fingertips. So maybe if someone in your position where you run lots of jobs in those, maybe if you had experience, like you've got it referenced there, you know how much that jacket costs with an embroidery. If you had those statistics, then you could do it. But for me, that would be another hours work, and I might as well, I don't know, it's just tiring to think about.
I think it's also the fact that the bigger your team is, the thing, it might take some things off you, because that's one thing that has gone off me a bit, the whole putting quotes together.
Oh, cool.
It is such a faff, especially now with stock levels. So sometimes you're recommending a particular garment to clients, and then they're taking ages to decide. When they decide, that stock is gone, sorry. So then you're back. It is such a mission.
I know. How much stuff, this is like, I don't know if you with Ralliwise or Pencurry or whatever, whoever. Both, same. I've got so much stock that I never ordered, and they don't even want back. I did a massive drop at the charity shop the other week, and I had boxes. I had 3 boxes full of shit that I can't even decorate. They just constantly giving me other people's. I'm getting your orders, by the way. That's what's happening. If you've ordered loads of like extra large yellow shirts the other week, I've got them. If you ordered some dresses the week before, Chessie's got them as well. I just get all this surplus shit.
That happens. I'm not shaming anyone. Happens probably more with Ralliwise. Ralliwise they have factories or warehouses, as you call them, in different parts.
I thought it was one.
Yeah.
I didn't know
So
that.
sometimes you place an order, roughly about 600 quid order, and you're getting about 3 deliveries or 4, and I'm wondering
Yeah.
that should just be a box or 2 at the
Mm.
most, but it's because it's shipped from different places.
Didn't know
So they
that.
would pull it
Thank
all
you.
together. And sometimes that factory has looked and probably picked up a line they weren't supposed to pick, and then so that's kind of like, because that does my head in sometimes, you know, where especially you need something urgent, you've ordered, boom, it's here, and you're like, half of it is not here.
Yeah,
What happened?
I have genuinely never had that problem with pen carry ever.
No,
Like,
ever.
they've never ever done it.
Never.
But I get it. I got to the point the other week where I had to steady myself to talk to my rep, and I was like, "You're giving me no options," and it was so tense. Anyone coming in the room at that point would be like, "Oh my god, what happened?" I never shout, but there's like a tone of voice that I can only put on when I'm hyper pissed off.
I know there's a limit. For me, it's only when I really need to, I go to Ralawise, and because I mean they've got cool stuff.
I know they've got all the good shit.
They've got the Adidas and the Nike, and especially we work with people who play golf and all that, you know, that's what they want. They want your Adidas, your Nike, your stuff, but you know, where else am I going to go? So I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
I know. They better sort it out, because everyone's pissed off, and they can't piss off all the garment printers and expect us to just carry on. Anyway,
I think it's because they also have a huge range. So could it be that it's just too much?
Yeah, they're just too big.
Yeah.
I think that's why Stanley Stella just put in they've got their own warehouse now in Abingdon. So they're like,
where's that?
Abingdon in Stanley Stella warehouse.
That's
it's quite near us.
Amsterdam, is it?
No, they've got a UK one.
Really?
Yeah. It's like 45 minutes away from me.
Shut up.
They've just put it in. They were in Brussels only, but now they're
exactly, because I remember I ordered directly from them, but not a lot, right? But when with the whole Brexit thing, I couldn't order because I needed an EORI number.
I know, yeah.
And I had to go through all that process, and I'm like, oh, this is just too much. And that's kind of why I just said, you know,
like, they are soft though, but
so now that's great.
Yeah, because they were hitting that problem too much, and then you order from them, and then you think you've paid it, and then you allocate all your money like normal. You think you've got the money that you got, and then you get like this bill from like FedEx, an import tax, and you're like, what the fuck is this? You're like 50 quid, 80 quid to FedEx like months later. So I think they're trying to mitigate that kind of like customs bullshit that's happened because of Brexit. But yeah, good stuff. So like, let's talk about screen printing a little bit, because I know you're not like
heavy
100% screen print. You're like, you do you do quite a lot of embroidery. I've seen you do direct to film, I think. And then you do the DTG. So like, what made you want to bring screen print into it?
Well, it was more of customer demand, really. And, you know, when you get people who go, hello, we want to make some shirts, but we want them screen printed, you know, okay, I think they know what they want. You know, they're like, you know, we've tried vinyl, we've tried all these things. We want screen print. Right. You know, so that's how I kind of got into it. And also because I started doing quite a lot of levers. So I used to either vinyl it, or I used to do target transfers. Yeah. For that, and obviously that was taking a lot of my profit on the leaders hoodies, because the schools don't want to pay a lot for the hoodies. They're probably about 15, 18 quid per hoodie. So I thought, okay, maybe I should see what this screen print is all about. But I think, as usual, for me, I just didn't want to start with the, you know, kind of like your home setup, your one color thing. I said, okay, let me learn, let me go all out and see what I could do. So at the time, obviously it was Vastex that was kind of buzzing, and, you know, there was a lot of noise about that. So I got it. And I think the funny thing is I got my machine and it was just sitting there for months.
Really? Just like staring at you. Like...
Yeah, I just like, yeah, I'll get to you. I just then obviously we were getting a few bits of work on it, but you know, because I wasn't promoting it a lot, I wasn't getting work for myself. I just left it there because I just felt I don't want to learn something from scratch again.
Also, it's not a normal thing, is it? It's horrible. The first few months of learning curve on screen print is steep.
I have, you know, there was a time where I was trying something and I literally took the squeegee and I threw.
No.
I threw it across the room like, why can't I just get it? And for me, if I'm learning something, I'm very critical. I want to get it. I want to understand it. And because I really put myself into it. And you know, when we got someone who trained us, we brought him in to Aberdeen from down south to teach us and show us how to do stuff. And he had a 2-day, you know, it was in a hotel and a lot of money, right? Yeah. And we've done this, and I'm like, oh yeah. And he made it look so easy. I'm like, I could do that. Yeah. You know, and you register and you do this, okay. And then the first few ones I did, I'm like, oh, brilliant, easy. Yeah. But then it started going a bit complicated because what you do for our printing a t-shirt is different from a hoodie. It's different from the arm. It's different from polyester, the bleed. What is this?
No one talked about the bleed. They should put a bloody sticker on that. Like they give you warnings about like not drinking bleach, but they don't give you the, oh, in an hour, this white is gonna go
yes, pink. Nobody tells you. And now you have to put the base, and I'm like, what is this? Is like, you know, I've tried up to 3 color before. Honestly, you made it so easy. It is not that, especially having to line them up. So I've tried up to 3 colors before. That took a while, but I think because we don't do a lot of the multicolor prints, you know, so I've not been able to perfect my speed at it. But the 1 color is like, boom, boom,
oh my goodness, I know. So if you think about like running, like if you get this perfect sweet job for it, like black ink, white t-shirt, 1,000, and you're like rubbing your bloody hands together. That's the treat. That's the sweet spot. Yeah.
Although,
instead of weeding it. Sorry, although
it's satisfying looking at the colors. So sometimes I'm like, oh, that looks super cool. How did she do that?
Yeah.
You know, so
I'm trying to tell you all the time, Ola. I'm trying to give you videos.
I know, it's, you know, it's so that's kind of how I got into screen print. You know, was a lot of customer demand when they started, you know, and then I thought, okay, rather than doing target transfers with my levers hoodies where, you know, half of my profit was going off on, I'll just do it in-house. That way I can still charge the same, but I can make a bit more profit, even if it's not massive, but at least it's still a bit more. So, and that kind of worked. And so for me, levers hoodies with screen print is boom, like that for me now, because I've done it over and over. So.
Beautiful. I love to hear that. Something that's obviously happening and you can't really get away from it, especially if you go to the trade shows, is DTF. And I think you've got like, what was it? I think you've just got, have you got like a BN20 or something just digitally printing onto?
No, we've got the
reading it.
Roland Versacam is the 54-inch one.
Yeah, I've got like the baby one of that, but that isn't really DTF.
No, that's not DTF.
No. So would you get into that? Because for leaders hoodies on the roll, I'm not talking about ultra, I'm talking about like on the roll DTF. Wouldn't that
DTF, the way I'm seeing DTF, which our current DTG machine can do, is printing on one sheet, and then, you know, you apply the powder and then you cure it through the heater, you know. But I'm still a bit on the fence with it because it's still not as quick, right? Because you still need, especially if you're doing colors, you still need to do your white base first, send it back in, and then you do your colored.
Right.
You know? And then after you do that, then you apply your powder, because you have to do that. And then after that, you have to cure it, right? Then, you know, you then put it on the garment. So I think the benefit for me for DTF is if I'm working for contract, if I'm working with an organization or whatever it is, school, whatever, and they have their logos and I know they're going to keep coming back, downtimes I can just keep running these things and stacking them up and saving them, so that when the order comes in, it's just garment press, boom, boom, and everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the benefit for it. But for ongoing jobs, like on the go, it's not still as fast. Just like DTG is great, but it's not as fast as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing color, you need to do your white print first before you then apply your color.
Yeah. Also, it looks shit on social media because it's so boring. How many, like, it's just like that. And you're like, oh, I don't care. No one cares. No one goes on social media and they're like, oh, can I see some, like, because all you can do with it is time lapse.
Yeah.
So
that's all you can do with it, because I mean, sitting and watching it go is an absolute waste of time.
I know, and it's like just enough not down to, like, you haven't got enough downtime to really get into something else.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, how do you manage that? Do you have someone on the DTG and an embroidery machine, so they're like rethreading and managing?
Well, because I'm a crazy person, right? A lot of people that work for me, we're all crazy, so we can do like 3 things. Well, I've kind of, because they see me do it, that's the way I train as well, because I do more than one thing at a time, because you know, so we kind of work maybe 1 or 2 stations at the same time. So the DTG is just having a mechanism, you know, it depends on the print. So I'm loading my t-shirt on, I send it to print, I'm taking another one and I'm heat pressing, because you normally heat press first so that it takes out the moisture. So we're heat pressing and then we're stacking it up, right? So by the time I'm doing that, that is already out. I'm bringing that out, putting it on the dryer to dry while I'm loading another one. So I could either do that by myself, but you know, it's still DTG, but there are like 3 different stages of the DTG. Right. So I'm kind of running through the 3: load, heat press, remove, cure, you know, that kind of stuff. Or maybe I'm loading it so that I'm getting my perfect sweet spot. It's kind of lined up. I send it in and then I go do something else. Then someone is offloading when it's done, and then I come back and load again, sort of. So it's kind of, but obviously I tell the team, do what is comfortable for you. The speed I can use for screen print is not the speed you can, because I've been doing it a bit longer. And I kind of know what I'm doing. So, well, they know what they're doing, but it's just, you know, I've done it longer, so I can turn things around a bit quicker, right? Yeah. So, so load hooping, and then you're putting it on the machine. While that is running, you're hooping another one, dropping it down, you're hooping another one. That one is done. You're taking it off, hooping that, trimming, passing it to someone who folds it. Yeah, I know, but when it works, it works. Because when you've got something quite long happening on the embroidery machine, and then you're screen printing a 3-color, and then I know that I'm printing some film, you're like literally earning money in 3 different ways. Yeah. And it's like, this is beautiful. And then you can have whole days that just work like seamlessly, and you get loads of shit done, and then you can just have something bad happen. But that's what we're in it for, right? Like, absolutely, it's exciting and fun and goes well sometimes. They're just, it's just the joys of the business, isn't it? The days you go like, why am I doing this again? Yeah. Why? I literally want to get out of this. Yeah, but you're probably not employable now anyway, Ola. So sorry? You're probably not employable anymore, because you're like, you'd be fighting the system. And exactly. That doesn't work. You shouldn't. Well, we've done this for 30 years. Well, change it. Yeah. I'm here now. No, I don't think that would work anymore. That's been awesome, Ola. I think we can wrap it up here. Is there anything else you want to tell people about Ripples? Like, well, we're just a print and embroidery company, but I think the thing about us, we're a friendly bunch. We love to solve problems. So, you know, when people have issues with their designs, can this work? That's where I buzz. Okay, let's see what kind of thing. We could do a 3D with that. It would look super cool. And, you know, we've been lucky to work with clients that are open to our ideas as well. So that's kind of where we thrive, where, you know, people have ideas and we want to help them to bring it to life pretty much. Because with everything that you've got, there's pretty much nothing that you can't do, I suppose, because you've got everything covered, haven't you? We try. We do sublimation as well, but it's probably my least favorite thing to do, because at least guaranteed we always waste at least 10 of either the garments or the mugs, or something goes wrong.
Yeah, I threw mine out. It was beautiful. If you need to do anything to make you feel better at any point, just get your sublimation printer and throw it away.
Honestly, it is. I don't know why I still do it, but
it takes like £3 off you. It just is.
Absolutely. It's just
told off for that, but okay. Thank you so much, Ola. I really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me on. It was such a pleasure to speak with you.
And am I going to get the boss profile picture as your snapshot?
Oh, do you want that one?
Oh, I don't know. That was like, I'm getting told I'll do whatever she tells me to do with that.
I know.
So maybe let's use that one.
Okay, I'll look for it. I think I should still have it on my phone somewhere. I'll send it to you on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.